Ready or Not is a game that has been in development for 7 years, since June 2016, with its reveal trailer being released on YouTube a year later, on May 3rd, 2017. It would take another 2 years for the game to have a playable alpha version for the owners of the supporter edition on August 19th, 2019. Once the game was available for everyone to play in early access, it became very popular and everyone loved it, myself included. That being said, you would think that after 7 years in development and after nearly a year without updates, the developers would deliver a polished game that dealt with all the problems it had in early access. Instead, what we got in the full 1.0 release of the game was cut content, terrible performance, and an experience that's unlike anything we were promised. Ready or Not 1.0 has some serious issues, and today we're going to talk about it. When Ready or Not first became available, it had many features that are simply missing from the 1.0 release, which doesn't make sense because they made the game more fun and immersive. What we were promised from the beginning was a spiritual successor to SWAT 4, a 2005 SWAT simulator game that has not had a new installment in the series for nearly 18 years. So when the fans of the franchise saw that a game inspired by the SWAT series was in development, they understandably got excited, many of them pre-ordering the game in advance. A Reddit user by the name of Pale Aurora made a great post listing out all the missing features that were promised in the game trailers.
Now that 1.0 is out, one would expect the promised features to make an appearance, yet there are so many things missing. So let's list them out. Suspects actually living their life, like smoking under the cover of the rain. Missing weapons, like the M16. Shotgun shell holders, multiplayer PvP completely cut. Meet characters like drug dealers, beat cops and school children. There is no non-environmental storytelling in this game. There are no characters to meet, only shoot. Reconnaissance drones to scout areas. Ability to knock out the power to blind enemies and make NVGs useful. Tactical ladders to climb in areas you normally can't reach. Sniper unit marksman to shoot enemies through windows from afar. 8-player teams. 9 banger grenades. Projectile and velocity simulation, penetrating surfaces based on thickness, material, and speed. As it stands, bullets can go through solid concrete. Dedicated servers. I'm sure there's plenty more things they lied about. I remember when people were being sexist and praising Void for not adding female SWAT officers, only for them to say that female SWAT officers would be added to the game because it'd be disrespectful to women actually serving in those units, or how the HRT outfits are gone and replaced by whatever the hell we have now. Void really just gave us a completely different game than the one they sold us. It's going to be hard to trust them going forward, that's for sure.
Considering that Void Interactive took a year off from updating Ready or Not to work on a new game really speaks volumes about how the studio will handle future releases and updates. The fact that they already started working on a new project before even officially releasing their first game doesn't really gain them a lot of trust from the player base. And to not only abandon a game for a year but then release it with a ton of removed content is a scary indicator for the future of Ready or Not. But then again, I might be wrong and it will fix everything they messed up with a few updates. Performance in Ready or Not 1.0 varies from bearable to absolutely unplayable even on the lowest possible settings. While this is not the case with everyone, even players with high-end PCs using RTX 4090s have experienced a constant frame rate as low as 15 FPS, which is simply unacceptable for a full release of the game. A common occurrence that even I have experienced are constant lag spikes when entering certain areas or aiming at enemies. This issue would be very easy for the developers to fix with a simple update allowing the game to compile and load shaders before playing it. While I'm not running the latest hardware, playing Ready or Not on low to medium settings makes it barely enjoyable, with the highest FPS being around 55 and dropping as low as 5 FPS. In my case, the game runs well enough to play, but I'm at a big disadvantage when I need to make fast movements or react, which often results in me being killed. And that's only for single player missions with AI teammates. Once I try to play a multiplayer match with other players, my FPS basically gets cut in half. But poor performance is only an issue if you even get to launch the game. There have been numerous reports of players not even being able to start the game without crashing or encountering a black screen. Oftentimes, if you installed mods from the in-game mod menu, the game will crash on launch and force you to automatically delete all the mods that you have installed, which can get very infuriating considering how many mods you need to install to make the game playable. Easily one of the biggest problems this game currently has are the AI suspects. This was also a big complaint while the game was still in early access, and at some point they fixed it, but now with the release of 1.0 it's somehow even worse than before. It's so bad to the point I don't even feel like playing the game anymore because playing against these psychotic mercenaries feels like a chore. It feels like the game is actively discouraging and punishing you for playing slowly and using tactics to your advantage. It feels more like Ready or Not wants to be just another shooter instead of a tactical SWAT simulator. And I'm not alone on this. There are countless Reddit posts on this topic, but I think the user commonspace6030 hits the nail on the head with this post.
So I get to the 32 megabytes per second mission. You're briefed on the situation. One barricaded suspect with a hostage in some apartment rooms. A great early mission simulating a realistic SWAT scenario. Awesome, just what I'm looking for in a SWAT police simulator. Then you start playing and it feels like you're assaulting an insurgent building in Fallujah. Armed contacts popping out left and right, spraying at you from multiple floors with little to no intention of surrendering. Men shooting in all directions and dying around you. Pure chaos. Like, what the hell is happening? Why is half the apartment complex shooting at us? It really feels like there was some major disconnect during development between what the mission was originally supposed to be. One angry streamer kid who shot his mom and then barricaded himself in his apartment with his hostage brother, and what we got later down the line, fighting through an insurgent ambush in Iraq. Honestly, it feels like this for most of the game. The vast majority of people you deal with have no regard for their own lives and just won't surrender. If I wanted to kick in doors and simply blast everyone, I'd play Ground Branch or one of 100 other military-type shooters. Not really the experience I was looking for in a game that was supposed to be a police sim with police rules of engagement. One where saving lives and shooting as a last resort is supposed to be a top priority, where most of the people you are dealing with are not seasoned fanatical soldiers fighting to the end. Am I missing something?
Issues with AI in this game, like getting shot through walls or the suspect having an insane reaction time, are way too common. And the game will quickly start losing players if the developers don't take the complaints seriously. The mission structure in Ready or Not feels pointless. Every mission feels the same, and by removing different mission styles like bomb threats and active shooters, the developers eliminated any reason to replay the missions besides a better score. The maps and the people within them don't feel alive. Every suspect or civilian you encounter feels like a lifeless robot following commands instead of a human with real reactions. There is almost zero variety between suspects. 9 times out of 10 they won't surrender even after being flashbanged and surrounded by a professionally trained SWAT team. Even encountering low-level enemies like drug addicts or teens robbing a gas station feels like fighting hardened soldiers with years of combat experience. They have split-second reaction times and barely react to being shot. And a Reddit post by Remus Pilot sums this up perfectly.
People who rationalize and explain all the plot and lore of why it's actually realistic how every mission has throngs of rifle-armed squads facing you are missing the point. I'm sure the plot explains it, but that isn't really the SWAT game most of us were looking forward to. Going to great lengths on why it makes so much sense works, sure. If we assume that in Los Sueños, all crime stems from supervillain pedophile criminal masterminds conducting cartel-level ops on the daily, sure. Seems like Los Sueños needs the fucking Batman or something, not a 5-man SWAT team sent in without reinforcements. There's not a single mission that is what appears on the tin. But Redditor, it is realistic that briefing doesn't match reality. Yeah, thanks. Sometimes. But sometimes it's just an angry man with a rifle sticking up a 711, and that is all that it is. End of story. No plot, no crime arc, no hidden child prawn, nothing. Just a dude with nothing to lose. I guess I just wanted this game to be something else. Right now, I'm always left, in every map, thinking that my immersion would be best suited by an option to initiate a radio call that says, "Oh my god, this is a fucking hostile city block. Send every team and call overtime from patrol cops. We need the Bearcat too."
So to wrap this all up, I don't think Ready or Not is a bad game. In fact, I quite enjoy it when it actually works. But I can't help to think that the release of 1.0 was a push by the management and not the actual developers. This game has so much potential, and by listening to the community feedback and implementing hotfixes, this game can be huge. However, I do want to say I really respect the work that the developers put into this game, because it's not a bad game by any means, and in all other aspects, the game is great. But it's just the issues that it has now are so big you can't overlook them. them. By the way, as I'm making this video, Void Interactive released the first hotfix for the 1.0 update, surprisingly failing to address the majority of the player concerns. The entire hotfix are just basically minor tweaks of the game that were not the main concern, so let's hope there will be another update soon. Until then, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I'll see you next time.